All right, hi all. This is an update for those who know me, and it's really just a personal vlog to remind myself of where I was at prior, and perhaps to give me insight into what I should be doing next. So, for example, last year, what I was doing was I was taking dynamics in the summer, and it was a pretty tough course for me, so I was putting in every minute of my time into just getting, practicing for that class, but practicing really for each topic as they went through the course. I didn't use the professor's the book he made, because it was kind of like, the way I saw it was, I said I don't want to take on a framework that is going to be too general for my major. So I was only intended to take dynamics so that I can understand how it relates to my major, which is basically how buildings rock back and forth. Or get some insight into that. I don't really care about friction and slip conditions and crap like that, but that was part of the class. To understand that to use the framework in that class to understand the slip conditions was part of it. So anyway, this summer, which is 2016, May, June, well, late May, as of May 19th, June, all of July, and August up to the 24th includes basically first me trying to prepare for the GRE and the FE, and also getting a driver's license. I know, I have to say it. I'm 23 years old at this point. I think I should be getting a license, but it's not the reason why I'm getting it. It's only the reason why I'm getting a driver's license is so that I can make things more efficient, because throughout the years from the time I was about 17 or something, I started realizing that a lot of things you want to get done. That's when I started to get into the thought pattern of that things just take so long. And it wasn't until about maybe like last year when I looked at somebody else's vlogs, and they were basically restating that fact as a rule, basically, that anything you try to do that's important is going to take a very long time. You might have these spurts of excitement where you can get a lot done in a month, or you get like a month's worth of a month's worth of work done in a week or so, or a week's worth of work done in a few hours. Things like that can happen. Spurts like that can happen, but anything you want to do is going to require sustaining yourself to some extent, and so. That's like ingrained in me now, and now that I understand that certain things like learning how to drive is important, because if you need to how to say it, it could be as easy as, like, if you want to be part of a selling eBay stuff on eBay or something like that, or just, let's say, if you're, I don't know, if that excitement is in you at that moment and you feel like you can get a lot done, most likely you're going to be confined to things like driving and really, really slow things, and you want to make sure that you can maximize those constraints as much as possible. So let's see how driving would be an asset. Well, I know that after a while, here's the main reason why driving would be important for me. The main reason why driving would be important for me is because, like I said, things that take a long time, they're not just time-consuming in of themselves, but it can help speed. It always requires you to put in, if it's a sustaining thing, it always requires you to put in time in packets, and so that it comes in the form of a routine. And so the routine, when you have a routine, it's always very repetitive, and when you have that routine going on every day, you want to make sure that you can make it as sufficient as possible, so that when you have the time such that you're excited and you know you can use your energy very effectively. It's not wasted on minute things that could have just taken a lot less time to do. And I hope you can understand the benefit for me now to start driving, because that has happened many times where I'll be excited for a while and then it's just like, too much time goes by and it takes like 2-3 hours just to go one place when it could have taken me 30 minutes on a car or something like that, because of all the public transportation, how long it takes and stuff like that. But the other thing too that might be bad about learning to drive is all this talk, all this insurance crap and paying off a car might make the process not really worth it, but we'll see what happens because I might I'll definitely get a license like in 2 days or something, or about a week or so. And it probably will. I mean, I'm going to take the test, may not pass, but the idea is that at the end of the day I might get the license, but then getting the car might not be worth it, so I may not even drive at all. But it's worth at least getting it, so that, because in the future when I have control over where I buy a house and things like that, then I can figure out a better way so that the driving would be a more beneficial asset, so rather than a liability. So anyway, aside from that, that's just one aspect of this summer. I don't mean to try to make this sound like some girls' summer fun camp thing, but just doing this, for personal benefit, so that I can see a year from now, figure out where I was at, perhaps where I should be at again. Because I thought I was going to get an internship for this summer and it never happened. So anyway, the other thing is, I told you I was going to do the GRE, the FE, right? So what I've been doing for that is, for the FE, in the GRE, I've been using, I've been doing this method such that I know that I have a lot of time. So I'm not, so what I'm not doing is I'm not looking at other people's advice. So for example, they tell you should take the assessment test, see how you scored on each section, and based on that you should allocate a certain amount of time to spend on those sections for review, or spend no time at all. It depends on the score you got. I'm very conservative right now because I know I have a lot of time. I don't have one reason I'm being conservative is because I have a lot of time. The other reason I'm being conservative is and the reason why I'm being I know I have a lot of time. One reason is because I'm being healthy. So I know that overall, if I'm going to spend a certain amount of time on this, so I'm not like smoking I'm drinking a little bit, but not too much. But and I'm generally trying to be healthy. I'm trying to go to the gym and eat kale and drink coffee without milk, and generally not eat much meat for whatever reason. But not eat much meat for whatever reasons in and of itself. But the whole point of that, what I'm saying is that being healthy is a great asset for time, is what I'm saying. So if you feel like you're wasting time on something and there's really nothing holding you back, like you're getting provided, like if your parents are providing for you, then being healthy is a great thing, because it allows you to give you the certainty that you could be using your time wisely at any given moment, regardless of whether or not you're taking more time to do it, or when you could have spent less time and tried to get a similar result, but not quite. So, for example, so by that I mean all the time. If you have all the time, of course you should do with that as much as you can. So right now I know I basically have all of summer until July 31st to practice for the GRE and the FE. And now I'm not practicing in the sense that I'm going through the the exercises. What I'm doing is I'm actually taking notes. So, and they're very brutal notes. So I have 100 and I'm not even halfway done with studying. I'm on page 111 in my composition notebook, and you can see here that how comprehensive the my note taking is. So and I have a method to it. It may not look like it, and it's going to look like scribble to you, but for me, it's like, it makes a lot of sense. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I have the time, and not only that, I also have the patience. I feel like I can be healthy, so I don't feel like I need to go out and get drunk all the time, or go out and go out to clubs searching for ass, so to speak, and and so I just slowly every day since June 10th I've been writing in this book based on objective things that I understand. So based on in certain books. And then when the end of the day comes, I go to the gym. However, I've been kind of skipping on that a little bit lately, but that's okay, because I'm actually becoming a little bit healthier. So in the beginning, I was coming out of Berkeley from the spring semester. I was I had been going out every, it's inevitable when you're in school that you're gonna eat like shit. So I was not eating very well. I would try to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every now and then, and it would work about once a day. But then I would have to eat something with meat, a lot of meat and grease and so on. And then I would do that about twice a week, which is horrible if you want to be healthy. And because being healthy has enormous benefits if you're not. If you have all the time, if you're young and you're thinking about being productive with your time, so that's a good thing. And really, you don't really need to go to the gym if you're being healthy, but it certainly does help you to shake yourself up if you need to, if you need to be shaken up. In other words, if you've been working on something for a very long time and you're going through it and you hit a wall, it's kind of like how grease gets what they call like pseudo plastic, where Newton's constant is less than 1, or n is less than 1 in the in Newton's law of fluids. It's like that, where you have to agitate the container, until it becomes liquid again. It's like that. It's the same thing, and I've seen it described like that another time on on another vlog, and so it's like that. But that's how the gym really works for anyone who's trying to move along with their career or whatever, or being productive in general. I'm not one to say anything about productivity, because I'm not really I just do these random things rather than have a full-fledged goal, and I don't know if you say fledged, but fully set goal that I'm trying to go towards, that requires a lot of communication, a lot of I would say a lot of chaos, things like that. I mean, that's kind of the difference between what I'm doing right now as far as productivity goes and something real life, is the fact that you have less control over it. So the productivity has more complexity to it. So I'm kind of an amateur when it comes to productivity. In other words, I'm just doing productive things in terms of that are kind of like low level. just basically. That you would do if you're young. So I'm young, so I guess it's justified in a way. I'm 23, like I said, but when I start getting in the real world, that's when it's going to be for real. That's when when the vlogs are actually going to probably make more sense. Right now they do make sense, but not like I can only sense it. You know, it's have an intuition for it, but I could tell that that's probably what's going to happen because as far as calling people left and right, and then dealing with chaos, it's just too much. So anyway, there's that. Yeah, and so what I basically did for this is I've been I don't know. This is just for the school geeks out there, so to speak. So because my goal is I'm trying to do everything I can so that I maximize my benefits for leaving college. So when I get my bachelor's degree at UC Berkeley, I'm trying to make sure that I have everything. I maximize opportunities. So, for example, that's the reason why I'm doing the GRE. So, I feel kind of bad because a lot of the words I just don't know. I just don't know because I don't read a lot of English literature. Or I also don't try to practice words. I also don't really care too much about using particular language that's not that doesn't have a particular purpose or a particular meaning. If it's just there to be fluffy or grandiloquent, okay, I shouldn't have said grandiloquent because I'm being grandiloquent just by saying that. But anyway. So you see my point in being all like bombastic and just showy. Just is what it seems like to me. But you could also, language, the type of terminology you use can allow somebody to easily pick up on who you are as a person and what you're about. Because sometimes you can sound like an idiot and you're actually a really smart guy. It's kind of sucks to have that imperative, but. I mean, kind of sucks, but if people don't matter to you, it really doesn't matter. So, like, for me, like, sometimes people perceive me as not being very smart, but it doesn't really matter to me because I'm involved with things that require some high level of... I really can't say that, but I would say that requires you to be smart enough to allocate a certain amount of time and smart enough to figure out how to structure your life, and that requires intelligence rather than saying, well, because the thing that doesn't require intelligence is basically to say that planning for the worst or having contingencies is not worth it because it's much easier to eat horribly, to yell at someone when you're angry, to blow up. You see these sorts of things is what I'm talking about. And so hopefully that made sense. But anyway, so I've been doing that, and these are the terminology, the flashcards for the terminology that I need to know, and I don't know any of these words basically. I'm just barely learning them. There's 250 words in here, and so that's not even most of it. There's about 1,400 vocab words that can pop up on the exam, but if you know about 1,000 of them, now this is not 1,000, but I'll get to that part later. If you know 1,000 of them, it's really easy to eliminate what's not there, and so that you can do well in the exam. My goal is not necessarily to get 100% on it, but to just spend all the time that I have. So, because I know this summer, even though I didn't get an internship, I can spend a lot of time on it because I'm not paying any rent. I'm not even working or anything. So it's working out. So yeah, so there's that, and so I'm able to just spend all the time I can on improving myself on it. Because I know right now I would do so bad. I just have to keep improving myself, and that takes a lot of effort. In my opinion, it takes a lot of effort to improve, or even it takes a lot of I don't want to say intelligence because intelligence I don't know. It takes a lot of like personal sacrifice to just say I'm not going to do these 10 things that I normally might think of doing, and I'm just going to focus on this thing to improve. See, it takes a lot of preservation and sacrifice to do that. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, so there's that. And so that's not even the hard... Oh, and then here we go. So other than that, so for those words, let me show you an example. These words, let's see, just to give you an example, there's, these vocab words. It totals about, I could just show you, totals about this much. I've been able to spend the time to condense everything into this book so far. That's why there's a lot of pages. That's one reason why there's a lot of pages. But the other thing I did was not only did I write the definitions in here, but I also wrote a context for it. So now I know a lot of these words. I may not use them for any particular reason, just because I'm not talking about complex topics per se, because I'm surrounded by idiots here, except for around my brother and I. Sometimes I'll slip those languages in there, and it's intentional. I'll say, okay, this is a perfect time for me to say this word, but if I'm talking to Eric, it's like, God, there's no way those words will ever be used, because the conversations never get that high level at all. So anyway, that's the 250 words that I wrote down in here, and that's why I have a lot in there. But the other thing I wanted to show you had to do with the GRE. GRE is this. So then I also have flashcards. I'm sorry, the Manhattan. I have Manhattan flashcards, and so it totals about 1,000 here. But the strange thing is I didn't know about these. I thought that there were only 250 words available, but when I found out about these, I thought, oh yeah, these are a necessity, because actually the 250 words in there are included in here. So it's kind of funny how that worked, but at least now there's 750 words that I need to review, which I'm not gonna write them down like I did in here, because that took way too long. And the 250 words, knowing those, is gonna get you it's gonna get you good at learning the other ones. So because I'm using this book to do that, as a means to learn the other words. So what I'm doing is I'm going through the practice tests and the practice problems, and I'm only on about maybe chapter 3. There's 31 chapters in there, and about 8 or 9 chapters on the 8 or 9 chapters on the verbal section. And by the way, everything I'm talking about right now is the verbal section. So chapter 3 though has, and every other chapter after chapter 2 has about 100 problems in it, 120 problems that you have to go through, and then there's answers for it. And so that's what I've been doing right now, or as of yesterday, I've been doing that, and seems like I've been doing okay. I got 75% on the, so I'm doing it in 20 chunks. So every 20, I review myself, I grade myself, and I've been getting about 75% every time. So that's pretty good for, because the way it works is it's kind of scaled logarithmically. It kind of goes like that. It's not just straight lines, so you don't have to worry too much about getting a particular percentage. Like 55% might actually be worth a C or something, scaled as a linear progression. So anyway, there's that, and so that's what I've been doing for the GRE. I forgot to mention earlier that the way I've been healthy is I've been making sure that I eat about the same thing every day, and that I don't go out. So, because usually if it was during the semester, it would always be a question: what should I eat now? What should I eat now? This day or that day? And it was always like either cafeteria or maybe like something in just something I would randomly buy, maybe at Subway or something. But this time I've been semi-smart about it. One of my roommates told me, or housemates told me about this meal. It's called kimchi, and you can get it when I first tried it, I thought, oh my god, these guys eat this stuff every single morning, and they just put an egg in it. How can they do that? It's got so much MSG, you'd think, right? And you'd feel all these like nervousness and stuff like that. But when I tried it, I was like, okay, I'll try it. I didn't get the shakes. It was an amazing thing, because usually with Top Ramen, I usually get the shakes. And so when I had that, I was like, I got to get more of these. So I went on Amazon and I looked for kimchi, and it's only about $22 for a pack of 17. That's pretty cheap if you ask me, because each one I would just have each one every morning. And so it seemed like a wonderful thing, and it wasn't like McDonald's where you're thinking, okay, I only have to pay like $5 for this meal, and I can eat it every day and I'll get full, right? You think, right? And I mean, everyone would think that at McDonald's, and still people are under the belief that since it's so cheap, it's such a great deal. But obviously, what happens is you get fat, and you might become like irritated just because of the lack of McDonald's, because it's becoming an addiction from the grease, whatever they have in it. So that's a bad deal. But I tried this kimchi thing out, and so far it's okay. But the only problem is with everything that's going on, I have to be extremely consistent about it. If I'm not, I start gaining weight. So because with the kimchi alone, it only allows me to be neutral with my weight gain and losses. So there's no way I lose it very slightly if I have kimchi. But if I have some based on my diet, which is not that bad, I'll have a meatless burrito at the end of the day, which has just a little bit of salsa. And that doesn't really impact anything, because I've tried the salsa and without salsa, and it didn't really affect it. But what I did instead, was I decided to, I don't know, it was just about maybe 3 days ago, I thought, well, let's see if I can get something, a replacement for kimchi. So I looked in this book. I have to get it out. It's called The 4-Hour Chef. I forgot to bring it here. Hold on a second. So it's called The 4-Hour Chef, and I want to thank this YouTuber, Arthurus, for mentioning his name in one of his vlogs, and because this is so far becoming a benefit. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I looked in this page, and with cookbooks, it's always like a random thing where you're sort of a spontaneous thing where you want to kind of make a change. So you go in here and you see, okay, well, what can I experiment with this time? And it's I wouldn't despise the whole idea, even though it is pretty simple to just look up something in a book and just copy it. But it's like ignorance can really seem stupid, because when you know about it, it's like, why didn't I not think about that before? Because you have all this stuff from experience, but I don't know. I could just be really naive. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So, let's see. So I got, let's see. God, I don't know where it is. So let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay. So from this, I don't know if you can see that. Okay. So there's this new dish. It's an avocado with egg. And so, but it tastes great. I mean, you could just put anything you want on it. And it's just kind of funny because I didn't think about doing it, using this as a breakfast. It didn't click until I looked at that, because I had seen this kind of recipe before on Scott Adams' YouTube page, but you know, I didn't really think about using it as breakfast. But until he put the egg in there, that's when it clicked. I don't know why I didn't think about doing that when I saw his, because I was like, yeah, that looks pretty good, but I didn't think about it being a substitute for breakfast. But it's like, if you can add egg to anything, like just try it out. As dumb as that sounds, but yeah. So that's what I've been doing for breakfast, and you know, usually with a breakfast substitute plan, I usually just give up on the second day, or maybe I only keep it up for a week because it's not filling. But this, I'm surprised. You know, the avocado is sufficient. I don't know what it is about it. I think it's just the fat substitute. It's the fact that it has the good fats for you. So you just eat it out of the spoon, and then you first of all you put even though you put a little bit of sauce to it, it's not that bad. It's still pretty healthy. But what you can do is you take out the sort of like what he's doing here. If you can see that, you want to pause. But basically, what you do is you take the avocado. You know, you take you cut it up, you shear it. You know, and then you plop it off afterwards because it's weak. You weaken it, you know, or whatever you want to call it. So you take it off, and then you take the seed out, and then you basically put salt and pepper right after. Or I'm sorry, no. Okay, before you do that, you slice just a little bit. Slice the sides so you can put it flat on its side, opposite of that where you put the egg. And then you shear it off, and then you put the salt and pepper on it. And then after that, you put the egg inside, and then put the sauce on it, and then preheat, or you could do this before, preheat the oven to 425 degree Fahrenheit. And once that's all the way to 425, you put it in the avocado inside, wait for 16 to 18 minutes, and then then you pull it out and then enjoy it. I would recommend around 16 minutes though, because I don't know, I like my if you want the yolk to be not necessarily hard, but I mean to still be liquidy, so I like that fluided. And so I like it that way, so I would recommend 16 minutes, but so far for the last 3 to 4 days, that's been working out well. I think I'm going to keep it up for a while. But yeah, so there's that. And then the next thing I wanted to go over, and sorry for that semi-tangent, because that I was meant to talk about in the beginning. So next thing I wanted to talk about was the FE. So aside from what I'm doing for the GRE in here, I'm also studying for the FE. So far it's kind of boring because it's topics I really don't care too much for. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, are very important. But when you try to go into it a little bit deeper, it starts to get a little bit boring because it's something that I don't see myself trying to manipulate. You know, in other words, how do I say it? People are pretty boring because most people are boring because I don't see ways I can manipulate them, and I don't really care about manipulating them either. And that's a big part of finding them interesting, is that incentive to manipulate. And so that's just one of those things that make things not boring, because you don't see them as something you can or have any interest of manipulating. So that's the reason why this has been pretty boring. It's just very dense material. Let's see an example of where I'm at right now. I'm just going to barely start maybe today. Water supply, treatment, and distribution. This is definitely not my specialty at all. I'm a structural engineering specialty, so this stuff is just about, there's a lot of chemistry and basically very specific ways that you can filtrate water and things like that, but and ways you can the ways that the machine might coagulate, and then the mixture, or coagulate the particles such that they're all kind of set on one side, and then the water goes the other way. There's so many weird things that are happening, and that I can't really see the big picture. So it's really boring. It's really boring, and it's hard to piece. It's also hard to piece together. I'm just going through it so that I'm mainly going through, because that's the environmental engineering section. I'm going through these portions because I don't know them, and the FE, the fundamentals of engineering exam, covers everything in your major. That's at the undergrad level. So you have to know them to some extent, even though it's just multiple choice. And they provide you with the formula sheet. It's just the thing about civil is that you can't really deduce many things without knowing an arbitrary set of information, and that really sucks for somebody who is not doesn't know much about it or familiarized with it too much. Anyway, so there's that. The last thing I've been doing is I've been trying to read books that are not really self-help, but are really just practical advice. I would say practical advice that might get you, it's like practical advice that will help you combat the imperatives everyone else experiences, and that you also experience, but that you prefer not to get to you, so to speak. So for example, well, I haven't really read this in page to page, but I've just been like flipping through it. So before I go into this, by self-help, I mean that self-help, usually you're trying to look for a solution for a problem that exists currently. I'm trying to look for solutions to perhaps avoid future problems, and also to project ahead. So I'm not looking for ways to help my life right now because everything's working out well, and so therefore they're not self-help books to me. They're just they're more like management books. So here's a good example of what I'm trying to get around to reading, but I'm just like kind of flipping through random pages because okay, so this is called How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big. And so basically this is by Scott Adams. He goes over very, very simple principles and very simple things you can do that are basically just filtered out algorithms to everyday life, so that you don't have to be swayed by certain idiosyncrasies. So by that I mean he'll even tell you or recommend to you a simple way to have a diet, and a simple way to avoid cravings, and a simple way to stick to a habit, simple ways to do just about anything in life. And you can basically trust them because he's not only is he's got a lot of experience because he's older, and it's been refined, and clearly he's failed at many things. So of course he's going to learn from them, right? I'm taking his word for that. So far I'll read it and I'll see what it's all about. But of course I'm young, so I can't compare it with any of my experiences too much. But I'm going to trust trust his advice because of that aspect. But I'm not going to trust it so much to the point where it's everything. Like, he'll even tell you don't trust the cartoonist entirely. You should be very skeptical about cartoonists. So I think one example would be when he talked about. That's right. So in one of the passages I read, he talked about how he said one way to get over shyness is to recognize that you have as many flaws as the other person that you might be talking to. That was just one aspect of getting over shyness, but I would say that is actually pretty false, because and that's just because of my experience as well as other people's experiences I've seen on YouTube. Clearly, there are other people that don't have certain flaws as others. So there's this one YouTuber that talks about flaws of humanity a lot, and I like him a lot. And I agree on his perspective, and it makes a lot more sense than what Scott Adams says, because that's literally part of the problem. Part of the problem of shyness has to do with the truth being involved, or being that other people do have flaws, way more flaws than the individuals that are shy, and quote unquote shy. So, and that really gets in the way, because you're thinking there's no value in talking to this person, no value in trying to have any deep conversations and explaining to them the things that are in your mind and how you see things at that moment, because they're going to come up with the same conclusions, and very likely they're going to be under the same flaws. For example, I've heard this many times. They've said you overthink too much. That is just bullshit. And when they tell you that, it just means they're under the flaw that you're able to live life spontaneously, and that is not good. It leads to the same BS that occurs here. So, for example, if you're spontaneous, it means that you're probably not very productive, you see. And so it just kind of goes back to that being unproductive and not and just feeling. And then there's the crazy it that happens, which is getting angry and getting sad, getting angry, getting sad. And so that will also occur a lot as a result of being unproductive and feeling like shit because of it. And that happens to people way too many times, because they feel that they don't have control over a situation. But anyway, so that was the only thing so far I disagree with Scott Adams as far as that. But so far, everything else I like what he's saying. Anyway, next thing that I want to go over is this book that it's called. Now it's called Money Master the Game, Tony Robbins, right? So this other book, I don't have the cover because I got it for about $2 on Amazon. The reason why I'm reading that book, I kind of felt bad about reading it at first, because it seemed like a layman book where you have to be really dumb to read it, but not necessarily. Like, I've been reading multiple articles about how Tony Robbins is not only is he a motivational speaker, but he's also a strategist. So it's like, I want to see what he has to offer. I want to see his advice. And so that's why I've been reading this book. It's to see his perspective, so that I can see, so I can have project into the future and see what I should go about doing that. And so so far he's come up with a good plan for people. From the reviews I've seen on Amazon, it seems like what they do is they're trying to say that the plan is more general, and that once you start trying to implement the plan, there's a lot more roadblocks that he doesn't talk about. We'll see, because like I said, I'm not making any money. I'm just reading. He tries to recommend that. He tries to tell you, go on this app and that app and enter all these numbers in, but I don't have an income. I don't have anything. I can't even project ahead, because I don't even know what it's going to be like when I start working. I haven't done anything like that yet. So this book is still beneficial, though, because it does go over contingencies and ways people screw up to some extent, and how you can work out things, and just general strategies, and how they relate to your psychology, which I like, because then it allows you to get insight into what people are thinking, and basically maybe even ways you can exploit them too. Not to sound evil or anything, but anyway. So yeah, there's that book, and I'm about. I'm just like you can see, I'm bookmarking all the pages I think are important, and I'm on page 238, and yeah, so, and there's about 630 pages in here. I don't really plan on reading the whole thing this summer, I guess, but I'll keep trying to, because remember, there's other things going on. And then the same thing goes for that. My other plan is to just read this front to back, and when I get around to it, when I finish this book, and then start with this. Start either with this book or this book. So this book, though, I think I'm going to read for sure after the Dilbert, or the Scott Adams book. It was recommended by Warren Buffett, but the only reason why I would read this is because he said it word for word that it is a framework to get you to be a good investor. So the fact that he said it's a good framework means that I can that it's basically a deconstruction of what you understand about investing, and so as a result, once I'm done with this book, it'll definitely wake me up, and I'll be able to know, have a good idea of what's bullshit and what's not. And so because that's one of my goals as far as this goes, because I swear every time I try to get involved in some kind of possible asset, there's always drawbacks. There's always these bad variables, these evil variables that are not in your favor at all. And to some extent, it's like you don't know how to make the decision because you don't have, not only do you not have a framework, you also don't have the experience. So it's good to have a framework before you get the experience, right? So that you can make decisions even before you can experience it. It's kind of like going to school for your major. It's the same kind of thing. But if it's all in one book, that's great. The only problem is with most people in books like this is that when they go into it without having any technical skills, or any technical understanding, or not having practiced technical language. But that's where I come in, because so far for the last 5 years I've been in school learning technical stuff. So it should not be too hard to understand what they're talking about. So far I understand the strategies in Tony Robbins, but yet he's trying to he's trying to dumb it down, is what I understand. So we'll see how that goes, because I think the fact that I'm more educated means I'll probably understand it better, and it'll probably be more beneficial to me. Called the intelligent investor. That's somebody else who's not that educated. The other thing I've been going through is that I've been planning on reading it's called Rich Dad's Guide to Investing. So that's just kind of like another thing where you're trying to look for contingencies, trying to plan for the future. So yeah, there I have it. That's my entire summer. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching.